Hello everybody, this is James at Gaming for Aria on Twitch, and I'm just going to show everybody how to get into an orbit in Kerbal Space Program in career mode. So this is my career tree that I've currently unlocked. I like to go down this bottom tree to get down to the first probe that you can have that can use the SAS, which is this probe right here. Ideally, I like that probe just so I can use SAS and I don't have to leave one of my astronauts floating out in space. And then I go up the rocket tree next so that I can get the larger fuel tank, which just makes doing this a lot easier. You can actually get into orbit with a lot less than this. You can get in with the next fuel tank down and do it with one of your Kerbals, but he'll be stuck up there. And in career mode, it's kind of costly to do so, because you have to buy a new one, and the first one's like 65,000. So this is how I put together my orbiting rocket for the first orbit mission. I use the probe so I can put a satellite up there, and then I go down and I grab the decoupler, just a standard stock decoupler. You actually can wait till you get some contracts from some experimental ones if you want to do that, but I just use the standard one so that we could be able to launch our probe out into space. And then I start rigging up fuel tanks. So this is that new fuel tank I got. Like I said, you can do it with the one below this actually, but this one just makes your life a lot easier. And then I use the bigger of the liquid fuel jets. I believe it's the T45 if I remember right, but you can see exactly which one I'm grabbing. It's the middle tier on the left in the career mode. And then I add a decoupler to the bottom of that. So you have a probe, decoupler, engine, or fuel, engine, and then decoupler. And then I'm going to add another fuel tank and another engine on the bottom of that. So on my main core, I have 2 sets of fuel, 2 sets of burners, 2 decouplers, and the 1 probe. And then I'm going to put 1 more decoupler on the bottom there, and 1 more of the fuel tanks. So I've got 3 all together now. Then I'm going to go down to the symmetry tool. I'm going to set it to the 3, so it'll symmetrically put 3 more of these fuel tanks on the bottom one of my fuel tanks, because I do not have the structural side decoupler yet. I'm just literally going to leave them on there. And I'm going to stack eventually. There we go. 1 more of these on top. And then 3 more of the liquid burners on the bottom. This is the cheapest way for me to do this without needing to upgrade anything else, upgrading the launch pad or anything, because the rocket doesn't weigh enough for it. And then I'm going to go back to 1 symmetry. I'm going to put a comm station on top of my probe. Make sure it's somewhat lined up, just because my OCD will bug me otherwise. And then I am going to add some science to it. So let me put one of these goo canisters on here. That looks a little funky. Let me fix that. That's better. And then the solar panels. So this way your probe will be able to stay charged. And I put 2 of them, 1 on each side. And let's throw the thermometer on here too. Just 1 of them on that side. So that way, if I get one of the contracts that says, gather data and whatnot, I can get a temperature and send it back. So here we go. Fuel tanks are going to light on the 3, then the 1 at the bottom, then the 1 right above that, and then all the way up. And pardon my dogs real quick. I guess there was something outside that was very interesting. And go ahead and throw this thing a name and save it. And there you go. That's all you need. That is like I said, you can get there with a lot less, but with this rocket, it is gonna make your life really, really easy. So now I will go ahead and break down exactly how this is going to happen when we get to the launch pad. So like I said, it'll be a little wobbly, don't worry about it. So you are going to hit T and turn on your SAS and make sure that's lit up. and then raise your throttle all the way to the top with shift. Once you make sure you've got both of those going, go ahead and hit space bar and you'll start firing up. And you can see you're getting like a nice, slow, gradual fuel burn. And a good climb, like you're not at any risk of running out of gas right now. Versus using like the solid fuel engines, like you'll burn through your gas really, really quick using a similar type of rocket. So the liquid fuel is definitely the way to go on this. And it's the best bang for your buck in the career mode. I'm not counting the science modes or the sandbox, because this is ridiculously easy in those. Whereas career mode, where you have to budget your money, it gets a little bit harder. So once you get up this way, you can start this at 8,000. I like to wait till around 10, just to be on the safe side. You start tapping over on the angle to the side. You're going eastbound, and you want to get your angle to right around that 45-degree mark. As you can see on the bottom little blue map, I'm kind of slowly angling it over, and I do this really gradual so I don't tip the whole rocket and spin out, because there's no thick atmosphere. So once you've got it at 45, you hit M, you go out to your map mode, and you follow this apoapsis point. Make sure you can bring up your little map at the bottom so you can see your craft, and you're following this apoapsis until you get out past 70,000. Once it gets past 70,000, you don't need to use any fuel, and it will suck your ship up to that point. I like to let mine go till around 80 to be safe, and make sure I got plenty of room to play with my orbit on the way up. So we're just going to let that slowly get up to that point here. And once it gets up there, like I said, you're just going to come back here and you make sure your fuel's cut off. You still should have plenty of gas left in your tank, because what's going to happen from this point is once you get up to that apoapsis, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. When you catch up to that point and you're about a second away from it, you're going to throttle up, and then you're going to keep tipping your craft eastbound so that you keep that apoapsis marker slightly in front of you. And you basically want to try to keep the little V marker that represents your craft, you want to try to keep that as close to on the yellow apoapsis marker on the bottom circular globe as you can, which will normally be like right on that horizon between the blue and the orange. So you just slowly tap your craft over. I do the whole thing in this mode right here, so I can kind of see like right there I'm lined up. It's slightly above me, but that's fine right where it is. And you're just letting your burners go very gradually. I don't have a lot of throttle with this. You don't need a lot of gas to do it. You want to save your fuel and just make sure you're giving it enough thrust so that it's going forward, not enough so that you're pushing that apoapsis in behind your craft. You want it to always stay a little bit in front of you, and that's the ideal point for it. And then you just let that burn, and you'll see that the orbit is slowly growing around the planet. And basically all you're now waiting for is your PE marker, which I believe is like periapsis or something, to appear on the other side, which it should do any second now. There we go, and there it is. And then once it circles around to the other side, that is it. That is all there is to making that orbit. You can cut your thrusters, and you're good to go. You have completed your first orbit around Kerbal. And at this point, I go back to my craft. I still have plenty of fuel left, but I go ahead and eject my last fuel tank off and just let my probe spin, because I'm going to leave it up there forever to send data back for recording. So there it is. That's how you get into orbit in career mode in Kerbal Space Program.